Right turn.
Right turn.
Slow it down a little.
Slow down.
Come through. Keep coming. Push back. Crowd control.
To this left.
Know what you're in for.
He found a bear.
The bear is sleeping in his den. Oh yeah. And don't poke on him, but we poke a little bit. Don't poke him because then he's going to wake up and then you never know what he's going to do. And he's going to grab one of you. So we got to be careful. So the björnen sover. So we walk around and say björnen sover, i såna bor. Han är inte farlig, bara han är varlig. Men han honom aldrig tror.
Finish him off.
Florida. David Smith, everybody. And then another local legend, Dilly of House Dilly.
Folk dancers based out of Fitchburg, Massachusetts. Our first dance was called Long Dance, and our next dance is called Lunty. I want you to clap along. You'll learn this dance really easy. Clap along and do the motions from your seats.
The pipe is the one that has
Fiddle almost. I have a G string. I have what would be a D string. Nice tune to see. And I have an A string. So those are all fiddle strings, same repertoire, same place. The fiddle's top string up here. Anything that would be on an E string is up here on my key box. And I have a Lucy drone. And then I have a whole fleet of sympathetic strings from Uppland, which is the central province of Sweden where this thing's stayed in living tradition. That's a stor polska. A big polska because it has 3 parts.
You guys can hear me okay? Yeah. My name is Nancy Schultzberg, and I am the cultural leader for Vasa Nordic 611, Lodge 611. And I'm going to give you can you guess? A talk on Dalahest. And it's part 2. It is said that there were large numbers of horses in North America 3 million years ago, and that they moved from there to Central and South Africa. And it's nice to know that something came from here and went overseas. We're always getting something here. In the summer of 1990, archaeologists in Western Scotland found remains of a horse which is proven to have lived 4,000 years ago. Perhaps it is one of the horses which came to Sweden circa 2000 BC with the battle axe people who had learned to tame horses, and it is said that these people on horseback, armed with elegant battle axes of stone, spread like a storm from Europe up over Sweden and soon became masters of this land. And probably that was the precursor of Vikings, that's what I think. Gradually they fused with the native people whom they had first conquered, but to whom they also gave the horse as a domesticated animal. Gradually the horse came to stand as a symbol for the qualities of mankind, mankind valued most in himself: strength, courage, faithfulness, wisdom, dignity, and also mystique. We can find images of horses in cave paintings, in Scandinavian rock carvings, and on picture stones. They are to be found on the stern post of Viking ships. The horse as a handle, and you can see one over in the Dalahorse Museum. There's a mangle with the horse as a handle. And that is certainly a perfect solution to the demand for tools, which should be both practical and decorative. It is quite self-evident that the horse would also become a much-loved plaything, considering its central position in the society of the past. When was the first toy horse made? This is probably a question nobody can answer. It was carved by the father for the boys on the farm. For the girls were usually given wooden dolls. Widowed horses from Dalarna and other forest districts are to be found in museums and private ownership. But the greater part of all the old wooden horses have now gone. Old toys are actually very rare. They were expendable items, and that's sad to think. Even if most of the wooden horses in the past were carved to make children of the family happy, it is known that they were available to buy several hundred years ago. The 4 horse villages. The carving of dollar horses as a livelihood is thought to have started in the village of Bergkalas in central Sweden, though the nearby horse villages of Risa, Vatnäs, and Nusnäs were also centers of horse making. The horses were actually once called Bergkalas horses, an expression that had still been in use by the older people. Today, the center of dollar horse production is Nusnäs, a village on the shore of Lake Silja. The villagers were involved in the art of furniture and cloth making, and it is likely the leftover scraps of wood were put to use in the production of dollar horses. Many early dollar horses were not painted at all, but in the beginning of the 19th century, painting them in a single color, white or red, became common practice. The decoration of the dollar horses has its roots in furniture painting and was perfected over the years. According to a local tale, a wandering painter in the style of Kurbitz came across one of these dollar horses in a farm that he was decorating. When asked by one of the children why that horse was not as beautifully painted as the ones in the decorations, he painted the dollar horse. in the same style. This tradition was then carried on in order to raise the market value of the dollar horses. The horses could be packed away in the flock cases, so transport was no problem. And they later functioned excellently on selling journeys as payment for food and lodging and hay for the horse. And they were known as hestpenga, or horse money. On the farms, there are stories of the indescribable poverty from which the inhabitants of the village could save themselves tolerably well, thanks to the small earnings provided by the whittling and painting of a wooden horse. A number of them could have suffered some sort of lameness or invalidism, giving them a way to help contribute to the welfare of the family. They also were pensioners or retired persons. The prerequisites for the working of a dollar horse are a sawn piece of ready material, a knife, a mora knife, and a pensioner. Are the days of the dollar horse endless? It is not that there is reduced demand from the customers, but instead that one simply has not the people who can and will whittle. It is mainly a question of taxes. Most would probably like to do some whittling, but for the tax on their earnings. It comes on top of their pension and may possibly affect their housing subsidiary and other social support services. Anders and Emma Zorn established a folk high school in Mora where young people from the community were educated in handicrafts, being one of the many courses taught. They always used to do Christmas decorations with Mora horses with holes for candles in the saddles on their backs. At first sight, a dollar horse is a dollar horse. But when looking at two apparently similar horses painted with the same base color and the same tones of paint in the decoration, then one can see that they are unlike each other. Just like everyone has their own personal style of handwriting, the same is true of ornamenting. Those who know the handwriting of painters can see in the horses who has done the painting. There are probably not even today two dollar horses completely alike, despite large productions. The painters used to have to grind the colors or buy dry powder colors and mix them with zinc white, linseed oil, or turpentine. The red base color used to be red lead, certainly poisonous, which was eventually forbidden. The red lead paint changes over a period of time, becoming lighter and at the same time more dusky in color. And the brushes were made of squirrel hair, which were shot over the winter. And first the hair from the tail of the squirrel was clipped, then stuffed into a hollow feather brush together with glue. There was no water-resistant glue, just ordinary carpenter's glue, which could cause trouble when the brushes were placed in water. The brushes could be made more pigmented by sanding with sandpaper. Today the brushes used are the same one used by artists made with marten hair. The wood for the making of a dollar horse was to be pine, preferably grown on the edge of a wetland, as straight to split and as compact as possible. It is important that the timber should be kept fresh, and so in the summer it was buried in a bog near the farm. On reaching home, a hammer and axe were used to provide the material from which to whittle. The most careful cuts were made with a small axe. Whittling would begin on the back, then the turn of the belly and the sides of the neck and trunk. Then it was time for the head. The ears should be reasonably large and positioned at right angles to the head. A brace and bit was usually used to drill up between the horse's legs back and front, and then one leg at a time was carved. Dollar horses are whittled this way still to this day. Before the horse was painted, it had to dry out for 3 weeks, and among whittlers of the old days, the horses were set up on horizontal poles fixed onto the kitchen ceiling in much the same way as the housewife kept her hard crisp bread. And I have some right there. Made in large discs with a hole in the middle to go onto the pole. The first step in the painting is that the horses are dipped in their base coat of color, red, blue, black, etc. And after drying, small splits and cracks and unevennesses were filled up with putty, which is then smoothed off. And the only time sandpaper can be used on a horse, and being careful to only sandpaper the putty, never the horse. Then the horses are dipped into their base color paint one more time. Then the mane and saddle gets painted in many colors, which can take as little as 4 to 5 minutes. Today, many of the villages in Dalarna make Dala horses with individual styles representing the district of origin. These horses also have distinct shapes and also come in different sizes. Some horses, like the Newsnest horse, are stocky work horses. That's what they have mostly up there. Others are lean and upright with stately countenance, like the Ratby horse. That's a Ratby. Or a bony work horse from Lexa.
Yeah.
And then this is also another style of a Ratby. The history of the Dala horse bodes well for this little horse in time to come. It will surely continue to be popular as an ornament and a present, as exotic tourist souvenir and sought-after items for collectors. But what of the toy? Well, of course, that too will survive, since the Dala horse is not only a horse carved out of a piece of wood and gaily painted. Pick it up in your hand and feel it. There is something special about it. A power which has made it living and loved through the generations. And I have this one horse here that's a half a horse. If you want to see the inner workings of a horse. And then on the larger horses, they use a number of wood. And this is one of my favorite horses. My boyfriend got this for me. One year, my birthday is New Year's Eve, so he said, what do you want, Christmas and New Year's birthday present? And I said, the largest horse you can afford. The store he went to, his selective hearing heard the largest horse. So he got me the largest horse. He said, that was expensive. I said, the one you could afford. And then this is another favorite. This I got at an antique store in Gamlestad in Sweden. And I like the different shape under the mouth. The nice old painting, the ear. These two horses are like the ones that I talked about, Anders and Emma Zorn. They have a hole in the saddle for a handle. I don't know if these came from their high school or not. And I like the tail in the back with the black line. And this one, the story is that the guy who made these in Sweden was going to export them to America, and then World War II. And so he never did. I don't know how these came after to America or not, but I like that. And this is another one that they have a different style. Sometimes they have on the back of the tail. And there was a story of one guy who, when he did his horses, he did, I don't know if it was the outside lines or inside lines, but he put 3 spots. They looked like fly specks on the back of the tail. And he made a fine little horse. He wore on his lapel to a dance and took a girl with him. She stole the horse from him. And his style ended up showing up on other people's horses, even down to the 3 little dots. And these two, I call these siblings. I got them from the same place. Husband and wife was collecting horses, and he died. And then I don't know if he was the one with the passion for the horses, and then she no longer wanted them. But I found these on sale, and they go down the dots. And these are newer ones. These came from Maine. Up in Maine. So there's all kinds of styles you can find dollar horses. And I like this one. It's a nice, it's a little sweet with the Swedish colors. And I got pencils. I had pencils I was going to put in here. Pencil holder somebody made. And this is put up in front of the house. And I like this one, the yellow and blue color. It's made with flat watercolors. And these two are my twins. They're not identical. They're fraternal. But I had gotten them from the person that was selling this book. And there was one of these horses. And it was for $10. Can't beat that. And then after I purchased it, the seller notified me that actually they were two horses. They forgot to put the two horses in the picture. So I call these twins because just like, when the human, one can hide behind the other and you think you're getting one and you get two. And you can get, I found this little plate. I thought that was sweet with the boy with the horse. And there are this jewelry. You can get, I got this necklace, and then there's a horse on there. These came from Sweden. And these little wooden pins. So all kinds of things you can find on and in here, there's the stand of trees where they would get the wood to make the dollar. And they start off with a block. It's straight. And then they would use a bandsaw on this part. That's the only time that a machine can be used while making the horses. And dollar horses, for Sweden to export for sale, they're very popular in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Germany, France, the Netherlands, Great Britain, Switzerland, Austria, United States, Canada, Australia, and Japan. So they don't export them everywhere. These are the places that they're most popular. And I even have an Amazon for the dollar. This book shows the making of the dollar horse, and you can use a Mora knife. It comes from the Mora region, where the dollar horses are made. And here's some of the horses with lines on the back of the titles. And the lead paint, you can see in this picture how the color changes. out the all IKEA ones, they have these little indents. But they have other styles of horses too. I don't know if they all have the indents. Any questions? Anybody? Want to see any horses or have any questions you want to hold? Any of them?
Y'all done?
Very much. Took me a little bit longer to put it than I thought it would.
Nice. All right, fighters, they're pinned. Let's see who can go around the circle. DJ, you won. You're in first. Jason, you're up next. Get out of there. Good.